TSMC just had the biggest quarter in its history. The more interesting story is that the AI labs paying for it are quietly trying to build their way out. That is the signal this cycle. The AI industry is doing two things at once. It is integrating downward into the silicon to stop renting all of its compute. And it is being pulled upward toward the state in equity and in oversight. Last cycle, the fight moved down the stack. This cycle, it runs from the fab to the statehouse. This is depth and signal. Let's separate the substrate from the noise. Start with the hard number. On July 14th, TSMC reported second quarter revenue of 1.27 trillion new Taiwan dollars, about $39.5 billion US dollars. That is up 36% from a year ago, a record quarter, and it beat the top of TSMC's own guidance. June alone was up almost 68%. TSMC's explanation is one word: AI. That is the demand. Now, here is what the biggest customers are doing about it. Meta plans to start production of its next in-house accelerator in September. It is the fourth generation of Meta's MTIA chip, designed with Broadcom and manufactured by TSMC. According to an internal memo reported by Reuters, one of the chips cleared testing in about 6 weeks. Meta wants 7 gigawatts of compute this year and roughly double that next year. And it wants to run more of that on silicon it designs itself. Anthropic is a step behind Meta, and that is the more surprising signal. This month, Anthropic confirmed it is in early talks with Samsung about a custom chip. And by early, they mean early. In the reporting, Anthropic has not decided what the chip would do, how it would sit in a server, or how powerful it needs to be. This is a company that has rented essentially all of its compute, from Amazon, Google, and NVIDIA, now sketching its own hardware. Here is why it matters. For 2 years, the frontier looked like a software race. Models, benchmarks, context windows. But the cost of running these models at scale is now large enough that the biggest players would rather take on chip design risk than keep paying full margin to NVIDIA forever. When you design the chip, you get more control over cost and supply. That is the whole game at this scale. And notice who wins either way. Whether the best model next year is from OpenAI, Google, Meta, or Anthropic, most of it gets edged by TSMC. The moat is quietly moving, from the model weights to the economics of the compute underneath them. Now the skeptics read, because this is where the coverage overreaches. Nobody is escaping NVIDIA. Anthropic's own statement says a diversified stack, including Google, Amazon, and NVIDIA chips, will stay pivotal. Custom silicon here is a hedge, not a divorce. And be precise about status. Meta's September date is a plan from an internal memo, and Anthropic's chip is a conversation, not a product. There is no Anthropic chip. There is an intention to explore one. So, what do you actually watch? Watch whether Meta's September production is real and on time. Watch for anything concrete from Anthropic and Samsung, a node, a commitment, a date, which would turn a rumor into a decision. And watch TSMC's next guidance, because it is the cleanest read on whether this build-out is still accelerating. The second story is what happens at the other end of the stack, where AI meets the government. Sam Altman has floated an unusual idea. Give the U.S. government a stake in OpenAI. About 5%, which against OpenAI's $852 billion valuation from March, would be worth roughly $42 billion. The broader version, reported by the Financial Times, is that the leading U.S. labs would each put 5% of their equity into a public fund, modeled on the Alaska Permanent Fund, the vehicle that turns the state's oil wealth into a dividend for residents. Here is why it matters. This is the "who owns the AI economy" question made concrete. If frontier labs hand the state equity, the line between a private AI company and public infrastructure starts to blur, with real consequences for antitrust, for national security leverage, and for how the gains from AI get shared. It is the first serious floating in the U.S. of AI as a sovereign asset. Now be skeptical in two directions. First, whose interest does this serve? Floating a public stake is also a way for OpenAI to relieve exactly the Washington pressure it is under. Generosity and self-interest point the same way here. Second, and this is the important part, this is conceptual. The Financial Times' own sources call the talks conceptual, and any real version would likely need an act of Congress. So the honest sentence is that OpenAI is floating this, not that the government is taking a stake. If you hear the second version, someone has hardened a trial balloon into a fact. What's next? Watch whether any other lab touches the idea, and whether anyone in Treasury or the White House says a word on the record. Until then, it is a proposal. While the U.S. talks equity, Europe is building a gate. On July 7th, the European Commission published an action plan on cybersecurity and AI. The centerpiece? A dedicated EU capacity to run third-party evaluations of advanced models before they can go on the market. The Commission is also directing its cybersecurity agency, ENISA, to write a European blueprint for secure access to frontier systems. And one date that is not a plan, but law. On August 2nd, the AI Act's transparency obligations for general-purpose models take effect. Here is why it matters. Put this next to the U.S. approach, and you see the split. The U.S. has floated a voluntary pre-release review. The EU is building a standing, mandatory evaluation capacity, an institution whose job is to test frontier models before they reach European users. For any lab shipping into Europe, that is a structurally heavier requirement than a voluntary check. The skeptics read, most of this is direction, not enforcement. The evaluation capacity is targeted at 2027, so nobody is being tested by Brussels today. The live thing, the part that is actually law in a few weeks, is the August transparency rule. One more caveat. Reporting has tied the blueprint to concerns about Anthropic's Mythos model. But that link comes from Euractiv, not from the Commission's document. Attribute it that way. What's next? Watch how frontier gets defined, because that threshold fight is the whole game on both continents. Now an update on our own scorecard. 2 cycles ago, we flagged a claim that the chip startup SambaNova had raised $1 billion. We put it on the signal thermometer at 1 out of 5 because the source we were handed for it never actually mentioned SambaNova. To be clear, that was a bad citation we caught, not a claim that the raise was fake. This week, the raise is confirmed from the primary source. SambaNova closed the first tranche of a Series F, $1 billion, at an $11 billion valuation, led by General Atlantic. JP Morgan is on board as an inference partner running SambaNova's systems. So the thermometer moves from 1 to confirmed. Note the precision. It is a first close with more expected, not $1 billion fully in the bank. The number was real. Now the sourcing is too. On the radar. Google's Gemini 3.5 Pro is reported to reach general availability on July 17th, with a 2 million token context window and a deep think reasoning mode. That date comes from reporting, not from Google, and the benchmarks are not published yet. So this is a watch item, not a review. If it ships as described, it is likely our lead next cycle. And the model war got pettier and more revealing. After OpenAI's Sol launch, OpenAI raised its usage limits, and Anthropic extended free access to Claude Fable 5 for a second week running, with a 50% bump to rate limits. These are promotions, not capability news. But the tell is real. When the top models are this close, the fight moves to access and price. Here is the through line. This cycle, the AI industry reached in two directions at once. Downward, into its own silicon, as Meta and Anthropic tried to design their way out of pure dependence on NVIDIA, and TSMC banks the record demand that dependence created. And upward, toward the state, as OpenAI floats handing Washington equity, and Europe builds a gate to test frontier models before they ship. Last cycle, the fight was about who controls the substrate. This cycle, it is about who owns it and who governs it. That is the quieter story under the headlines. The AI race is turning into an infrastructure business and a public policy question at the same time. We'll keep watching the parts that turn out to be load-bearing and checking the sourcing before we repeat it. This is Depth and Signal.